Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. We are live from Los Angeles, better late than never. And we're going to talk about auctions today. We're continuing our coverage of the Monaco Legend Group auction, the exclusive timepieces one specifically. It is going to be probably finished tonight, so I hope you will encourage me to go further and deeper, and we will in fact perhaps start looking at Phillips's first decade auction. It's been now 10 years already since Phillips, in collaboration with Bach and Rousseau, entered the watch auction space as well. Many interesting pieces in that too. Decade One is the name of the auction, 2015 to 2025, with the Patek Philippe perpetual calendar chronograph 1518 in stainless steel, kind of headlining the auction as the showpiece, as the cover girl, so to speak. But there's, of course, so much more, from new independents to some of the neo vintage classics that have been picking up in steam in the last couple of years, and some other surprising pieces as well. Prototypes, especially, which is kind of a subgenre that they seem to have focused on. So let's dive right in. We are going to quickly take a look at my Instagram just to warm up, so to speak. Let me see. Just to warm up the vocal cords and get on with it. Actually, there's just one new post because I was thinking too much and too hard today. I actually didn't come up with any content. That's the bane of my existence. The more you put thought into something, sometimes the less you get from it. So, just get on with it. That's my general suggestion with anyone and everyone working on anything at all, but working on content specifically. We're looking at Jules Koundé, Barcelona defender, as well as French national team right back. And you guys know things have kind of gone overboard with the runway situation when the French national football team stars report for duty at Clairefontaine, which is the national training center for a camp during the international break. But I think Jules Koundé is one of those players who has an established style, whether you like it or not, whether you like the streetwear style or not. And I'm not a huge fan, honestly. It's not my thing. I still appreciate him because he is usually one of those who is very well put together, with his own style. Ibrahima Konate was also the Liverpool defender, was also looking quite sharp during this break. What I obviously like about Jules Koundé is his watch collection, and I like it because it actually has a little bit of everything. He has, over the years, had a number of newer pieces as well, but more and more I see him focusing on dressier pieces from the vintage and neo-vintage eras, a lot of integrated bracelet pieces that I've showcased previously on my Instagram. And this time he was wearing a white gold integrated dress watch piece with a woven and, as you can see, hammered, decorated piece in white gold with a kind of silver dial or silvery dial with a grainy textured surface and brilliant cut diamonds for the indices. You can see it closer here. Kind of a mesh bracelet look, but the piece is completely integrated, right? As if it were a monolith of sorts, front loading for the movement, dial, crystal, and everything. I really like those kind of pieces. This is Jules Condé and the Audemars Piguet integrated bracelet dress watch from the 70s, reference 4126 BC in my estimation. Hey, Juan, you see it. How are you doing, man? Nice to see you as well. Well, as promised, we don't have to while away our time. We're gonna go right into the exclusive Timepieces auction by the Monaco Legend Group. Yes. The difficulty with a lot of the integrated bracelet dress pieces from a bygone era, from the 70s especially, is that it's hard to find them in full size because they would have been probably sized for the first owner and not always in the ideal place, because these are genuinely jewelry pieces. So chances are an average jeweler would have a better time sizing it properly than a watchmaker to begin with. So you would have all sorts of pieces that have been cut to size down specifically, which of course is not impossible with the help of certain extensions to fit a larger wrist, but it's not always the best look or best solution. So if you have a bigger wrist, chances are these kinds of pieces are not for you, or you would be extremely fortunate to find one that can fit your wrist. Now, there's a little bit of a self-selection going on there as well, because, us small-wristed guys, us skinny-wristed guys, we usually go for smaller, dressier pieces, and the big-wristed guys go for the larger watches anyways. But, in the off chance that you are into vintage dress watches and that perhaps you still take pleasure in wearing something a little more discreet when the occasion demands it, which, by the way, is always, I think, preferable. It's better to err on the side of discretion, if you ask me, when it comes to a dressier piece, than worrying about, is it too small for my wrist? Are people going to see my cool watch? Chances are, if you're wearing a dress watch, the watch is not there to be seen, right? Just like when you actually dress up for a black tie event, you are not the showpiece, right? You are there to more or less recede in the background in the most elegant way, so that your lady friend who is with you for the occasion can shine. the dress watch is for those occasions, right? When you are not trying to be the centerpiece, when you're not trying to raise attention. You're just trying to dwell perhaps in that subtle, cold-blooded sophistication that doesn't have to scream to be seen. So I get it. I get it, John D. Some of these pieces are very hard to find in the right size for the bigger wristed guy. Yes, which is, by the way, the case. I should read this, of course, but this is going to be the last super chat I will last chat I will read tonight, unless it is a super chat, because I'm really burning for that. And again, you get value for all your super chats on this channel. You know, especially when we're looking at auctions, I pull up the specific lots, I talk about it extensively, and any other watch related questions too, you guys know I answer it inside and out. So this is going to be the last one that I will read tonight. That's not a super chat. I have recently tried on the Cobra. I hope you mean the real deal, 5403 specifically. I kind of, you know, open up the boundaries a little bit. If a watch has that same style of bracelet, not just any woven bracelet either, but that bracelet that is associated with the Cobra, fine. But I see like the greasy secondhand gray market profiteers call each and every integrated bracelet piece a Cobra or a bamboo. You know, if it's made by AP, it has to be a Cobra. Hopefully, it wasn't one of those pieces. The integrated bracelet had very little bend close to the watch case, so it flares rather wide for something so narrow. I'm surprised that you're surprised, John D, because you are otherwise a very knowledgeable guy about older watches, vintage pieces, classic designs. It's a very recent thing that these integrated bracelet watches actually started refining, revising, and even redesigning their integrated bracelets so that they don't flare so much. I mean, it took the Royal Oak quite a long while. The Nautilus to a certain extent, but I think the Royal Oak suffered more from that problem. It wasn't ergonomics, unfortunately, wasn't at the top of the list a lot of times when people design these watches. So I'm, you know, again, it flares out for sure. But then again, they're not very big watches to wear to begin with, like the Cobra especially. So whether the bracelet flares out or not, unless you have a very skinny wrist, it shouldn't be too much of a problem. Anyhow, let's get back to the exclusive timepieces auction. It is actually going to take place in Monaco. Surprise, surprise. You know, Monaco Legend Group. Where is it going to be? Monaco Monte Carlo, Hotel Méridien specifically, on the 18th and 19th. But they are obviously taking absentee bids as well. I covered a number of pieces from these auctions in the last two live streams, but I'm going to continue and hopefully finish today. Since we are on the topic, let's take a look at lot 8. If you want me to pay particular kind of attention to any of the other lots, please feel free to send in with a super chat the lot number, and I would be more than happy to dive in with as much horological and historical information that I can muster. This is an integrated piece from AP. around 34 millimeters in diameter, in white gold. The reference is 14973. Kind of what you would call a disco volante, right? The Italian name for the UFO. Perfectly round piece that comes on an integrated bracelet. An interesting 7-link design. It has a diamond pavé dial, a dial encrusted with diamonds and actually set with emeralds for the hour markers, as you can see. The AP logo is almost invisible from all that sparkle, but it is at 12 p.m. Blackened hands for that visibility, and the dial is actually, the bezel itself is set with diamonds as well. Brilliant diamonds, brilliant cut diamonds, in alternating with baguette cut pieces. The case seems to have preserved its original finish. And you can see how crisp and legible the hallmarks as well as the case number and signatures are on the back. Very well kept. Of course, it is the original bracelet signed by AP. And it does come with all the fixins, so to speak, including the original warranty cards, the book-like leather folio, which is its original presentation box, as well as an additional leather wallet to hold the documents and product literature. This is AP 14973 BC, gem set integrated bracelets, white gold dress piece from AP from around 1990s, and it has a pre-auction estimates in the range between 14,000 to 28,000 in euro. Please hit the like button. Once again, if you're just joining us, we're looking at exclusive timepieces from Monaco Legend Group. It's going to take place now in less than a week. We have already made some headway looking into the pieces. If I'm skipping over any of the pieces, I've already posted the link there. If you want me to race ahead and focus on something that I have missed or that I didn't yet get to, please feel free to send in the lot number with a super chat, and I will get to it momentarily. Some very interesting pocket watches as well. Here's a 19th century one. Look at the detail and handwork on that moon phase indicator. Lot 38. An 18-karat pink gold perpetual calendar minute repeater in 52 millimeters in diameter. It's from Breguet and has some interesting history behind it. The lot essay says, thanks to Mr. Emmanuel Breguet, we were able to establish that the present pocket watch was originally sold on December 30th, 1884 to Mrs. Dupré for the sum of 2,500 francs. It was bought back by Breguet and sold again on April 18th, 1969 to Mr. Bimat for the sum of 7,600 francs. Very interesting. Um, we say about Breguet that he, of course, brought a lot of the marketing strategies into the horological world very early on. The subscription model, of course, where the customer pays in advance a significant deposit for the watch so that the watchmaker has the necessary financial and material resources to build a watch in series, preparing pamphlets and trying to send them the world over for his marketing was another strategy. But I didn't realize that he had his own CPO program, so to speak, that he also came up with certified pre-owned already. Of course, I'm exaggerating and playing with the timeline a little bit, but it's quite interesting, right? We like to think that these kinds of strategies are just invented yesterday, just because Rolex started doing it 3 years ago. But obviously, it has a longer history, even with the world of watches. And you can see, speaking of that, this late 19th century piece with a beautiful enamel dial, Roman numerals, golden Breguet hands, a spade handset, which is very elegant, matching the pink gold tones of the case. It has a leap year indicator as well in the form of a 4-year cycle for the monthly indicator at 12 o'clock, as you can see. That subdial is counterbalanced with small seconds, which encircles the cutout through which you can glimpse the phases of the moon. Pointer date at 3 o'clock and the days of the week at 9 o'clock. Beautiful movement. And of course, as you can see from this slider, it also has a chiming mechanism where you can make the watch sound out the time at will. This is lot 38 for a minute repeating perpetual calendar, a 19th century pocket watch in 18 karat pink gold, 52 millimeters in diameter, a stunning enamel dial, and an indicator for the phases of the moon that betrays a lot of handwork. $30,000 to $60,000 is the pre-auction estimated value of this piece. Again, a kind reminder of our super chat goal. 5 super chats of $5 or more will bring you an extra hour of watch talk. And of course, these should come in the form of questions so I can give you value for your money. Any watch-related question is welcome, but since we are talking about this specific auction, the link of which I will send again to the chat, feel free to send in the lot number so I can bring it up for you. In the meantime, feel free to share the link with others. Hit the like button. And if you have just chanced upon the live stream, or if you have followed the link on Instagram and you are not subscribed yet, I have these live streams basically on a daily basis, but at least 4 times a week. So please stay tuned for more watch content on a daily basis. At lot 40, since we have been looking at perpetual calendars, this time we have Blancpain, Vieret, from the time period where Jean-Claude Biver resurrected this time-honored brand. You're looking at the reference 5395 in stainless steel. Classic dress watch look, 34 millimeters in diameter. So it might strike you as diminutive, but I think it is a beautiful dress watch. And I think it's all the more impressive when you have such prestige complications in a smaller case size. Your mileage may vary, of course, but a fantastic balanced dial with the 3 calendrical indications in a subdial and the cutout crescent moon-like cutout at 6 o'clock for the phases of the moon. Number 47, which is actually a number that I really like. What an interesting coincidence. This is the kind of piece that you can possibly run away with in an auction where there's so much more that is eye-catching, mainstream, modern, more hype adjacent or hype engulfed. Here you have the classic perpetual calendar in an eminently wearable dress size, in stainless steel too, so quite utilitarian as well. And lot 40 is also one of those pieces that starts at $1, no reserve, with a pre-auction estimate that's set between 4,000 to 8,000 in Europe. Everyone is crazy about vintage Calatravas, and I feel a lot of time only and, you know, especially pre-Royal Oak AP dress watches are just simply glanced over. Some of it has to do with the fact that they can be rather small. But here is a stainless steel Calatrava style piece from the 50s by AP. Sweep center seconds, arrow-like indices for the hour markers with Arabic numerals at the quarters. Beautiful case with downturned lugs in stainless steel again. 32 millimeters. That 9470 is the case number. This comes from a time where a lot of AP watches didn't even have a reference number. So don't be surprised that we can't come up with some reference number. Here is the movement. A very famous one indeed. VZSSC. That bridge you see is actually the modification or the module for or the island-like bridge you see on top is the modification for sweep center seconds, actually. Look at that beautiful regulator on top of the balance bridge. Very cool piece. Again, rather diminutive, but very interesting if you ask me. And very rare, again. Of course, much has been said about 20th century complicated pieces by AP, especially those that precede the Royal Oak, that 70s threshold. But the time-only pieces, whether they're in precious metal or in stainless steel, as is the case here, are also quite rare. AP didn't really make that many watches during those days. Right? We are talking about thousands, not tens of thousands, not 100,000. I think AP, for the first time, made more than 5,000 watches annually in year 1956, if I'm not mistaken. And they crossed the 10,000 threshold only in the 1970s. So all of these pieces are going to be more reminiscent of what people aspire to or expect to see from independent makers today than a mainstream brand, which is very important. Again, very precious, as long as it appeals to your taste, right? If you're just going to buy it and will feel it's too small for you, what's the joy in that? But if you're on board, this is lot 43 for beautiful stainless steel Calatrava style dress watch by AP from the 1950s. The pre-auction estimate is set between 15,000 to 30,000 euro. Lot 58 is a beautiful piece. I rarely see these with the bracelet, which admittedly, from my personal angle, is not a very attractive bracelet, but that's not much of a question here. You're looking at the early example of a Parmigiani Fleurier piece, the independent brand that has more recently become more of a known commodity in the horological mainstream. Founded by the master restorer Michel Parmigiani with the support of the Sandoz Foundation, the Big Pharma by another name. And this is still the core of the watchmaking ecosystem in Fleurier. Of course, that includes the famous movement maker Vaucher as well, among many, many others. And the Ionica is this, in a way, the more ornate predecessor of the Kalpa. And maybe you have already recognized that from the 8 days movement, the 8-day power reserve movement. It's a tonneau-shaped case, but with a double stepped bezel, which has that fluted finish or decoration, rather, that we came to associate with especially the earlier work of Michel Parmigiani. Beautiful grain d'orge guilloche dial. Seconds on the subdial, again beautifully framed by that coin-edged fluted finish. Date at 3 o'clock, and a power reserve indicator for 8 days a week, as the Beatles so eloquently put it. Breguet numerals applied for the hour markers, Parmigiani Fleurier signature on a plaque, and the spear-shaped hands for the hour and minutes. Very ornate bracelet design that, to me, is too much, but in a way, perhaps fits the Baroque style of this particular piece. But the highlight of this watch, if you ask me, is really its movement. From a technical perspective, of course, having an 8-day power reserve on this hand-wound movement is already quite a feat. But also look at the finish with a number of inward angles. Very unique bracelet, bridge style too, that looks like a bunch of interlocking clouds. Swan neck regulator. Beautiful stripes at an angle. And of course, once again, a movement that is entirely form-fitted, conceived from scratch for this particular case design. That's what being a truly integrated manufacturer enables you to do. This is the Parmigiani Fleurier Ionica 8-day power reserve in 18 karat pink gold on a matching bracelet. Again, both the Ionica and the Kalpa are certainly an acquired taste, even within the design language of early Parmigiani. That's very unique, to say the least, to put it euphemistically. This is just a gorgeous piece. In outstanding condition and on a very unique bracelet. Starts at no reserve at lot 58. The estimated value of the piece is between 12,000 to 24,000 in euro. Don't forget to hit the like button. We're just settling into our pace with the exclusive Timepieces auction by Monaco Legend Group. This is a live event that's going to take place on the 18th and 19th, so less than a week to go, but you can already register and put in your absentee bids. As always, I'm not sponsored or supported in any way by these auction houses, so caveat emptor, you should take all the necessary precautions. If at all possible, If you are seriously interested in one of these pieces, you should find a way to examine it in person, to go into one of the official viewings. If not, send in an agent, an expert like me, or a friend to do that for you. In the absence of all that, you should always reach out personally, ask specific questions, perhaps ask for additional pictures, maybe even arrange a video conference session where you can go through the details of the watch and its condition face to face with a person, even if it is virtual. Lot 71 is one of my favorite mid-century pieces. See 3D now. Thank you, man. This is the proper application of knowledge is power. Well, I don't know. I've been feeling pretty powerless these days in my life, but I appreciate the encouragement. Um, I'm a big fan of this particular case design as well for Breguet's iteration of the Type 20. Short history lesson for the Type 20. This is the watch that the air forces of the French Navy commissioned in the mid-century from 5 different makers. Breguet was one of those names, even though these watches were made for Breguet. I don't think they had those kinds of manufacturing capabilities at the time to deliver on a contract like that. But be that as it may, the Type 20, more than any other brand, remains associated with Breguet. I like calling them sometimes the craft of Breguet, kind of thinking about the kind of tool watches, the more utilitarian pieces that Breguet made in its 20th century existence before it was revived in a different way by the Chomet brothers with Daniel Roth as the master watchmaker. They made also some exquisite diver pieces that I have shared on people's wrists on my Instagram before. So feel free to follow me on Instagram and swipe through the feed and locate those watches. It would be a nice journey anyways. There's lots of material, lots of interesting visuals to see, lots of historical and horological tidbits that you can learn from. And you can always feel free to leave a like and a comment whenever you see fit. It always helps a great deal. These pieces were, of course, again, designed to be legible, right, with oversized Arabic numerals in luminous material against the backdrop of a black dial. And interestingly, they have this big eye, as they call it, for the minute totalizer at 3 o'clock, calibrated specifically for 15 minutes, because apparently that was the exact time you need to prepare an aircraft for takeoff in that era. So very specifically designed for that, with that fusile hand, a 15-minute totalizer divided into 3-minute sectors. I like this 2-register look a lot. And this particular piece is also attired or fitted, I should say, with an entirely graduated 60 minutes timing apparatus, a rotational bezel. It is in stainless steel. around 40 millimeters in diameter, apparently sold on November 26th, 1986 for one Mr. Sutti of Milan, which was the official agent for Breguet in Italy at the time. See 3D now. I appreciate you, man. We are only 4 super chats away from our goal, thanks to you, even though we have only 3 minutes left until the accomplishment of the goal. Hey, if we don't make it, we don't make it, but your contribution is so welcome in either case. This was lot 71 for an 80s example of the flyback chronograph. I should say something very quickly about that as well. Obviously, that particular function makes the pilot's chronograph a proper navigational tool for its time, because usually, as you probably know, when you're timing something with the chronograph, the reset needs multiple steps, right? You start with that pusher at 2 o'clock, you stop with that pusher at 2 o'clock, you reset with the pusher at 4 o'clock, and then you restart again with 2 o'clock. A flyback function, which you can immediately activate with the pusher at 4 o'clock, actually allows you to time events in quick succession. So you start, the chronograph runs. When you hit the flyback, everything resets to 0 and starts moving on its own immediately, starting the cycle. And the way people use that for navigation was specifically, and it's a vital task, that you would go exactly for so much time, towards northeast, and then this much time to the north, and then northwest for a minute and 15 seconds, then turn around, so on and so forth, right? I'm not a pilot, so I can't exactly tell you, but at least the idea is that a flyback chronograph with that ability to instantly reset and start from the beginning allows you to use the watch more properly as a navigational tool in that particular setting. The estimated value of the piece is 9,000 to 18,000 in euro. This is a 2-register version of the Type 20 pilot's chronograph with the flyback function by Breguet in stainless steel, lot 71. Lot 80 is a very interesting example of the Explorer 2 with the white dial. Mind you, this comes from an earlier iteration of the Explorer 2, the so-called transitional reference between the 1655, that is often called freccione, right, for its hour hand, very distinctive arrow-like tip. That was also, of course, only offered with a black dial. 16550 is that saddle between 1655, the first reference for Explorer 2, and 16570, which is the more modern 40 millimeter 5-digit reference before we came to today's proportions and designs, which are a little bit different. You will also recognize These from its distinctive font on the 24-hour bezel, white gold surrounds, even on the white dial. Those markers are blackened for the 16570. And also one of those things that happens with vintage Rolex, where a defect can become over time something desirable. This is a white dial that has taken on a certain kind of cream-like patina. Which makes it all the more rare and unique. These things were extremely collectible when vintage Rolex was all the rage. They are still quite rare and are sold with significant premiums over quote unquote more pedestrian examples on the secondary market. But you know, the trends have changed, right? People are not exclusively looking for vintage Rolex on the secondary market and on auctions anymore. They would much rather get something with some hype behind it and some further investment potential, or for all of that and more, they might go for an independent maker. And if they are not patient enough or fortunate enough to receive an example of those sooner than later, people, of course, prefer the instant gratification they can get from acquiring an example via an auction. This particular piece actually comes from the Rolex CPO program, even though it is originally from Malmö, from a Swedish retailer. It was actually acquired by via the Turin-based Rolex agent Astra in 2024. But it's nice to see it's having its original documents as well as the material that goes with a Rolex CPO piece. This is lot 80 with a transitional reference for the Rolex Explorer 2, 16550 with a cream dial. The original documents as well as the Rolex CPO certifications are included for lot 80, which is a pre-auction estimate set between 10 to 20,000 in US dollars. Oh, in euro, I don't know what I'm talking about. This is a third installment in a multi-part series now, because there are a lot of lots in this particular auction. And I've been trying my best to keep these live streams a little shorter and a little more succinct, unless there is demand from your end with particular requests and commissions. We're looking at lot 81 for a chronomètre résonance in pink gold with a pink gold movement. and a white gold dial. The principle of resonance was first tried out and implemented in the horological world with clocks and with pocket watches with large diameters. I have to say, I think 62 millimeter is the diameter of the Breguet pocket watch that demonstrates this principle. Jean brought it to the world of modern wristwatches, first in 38 millimeters. This particular piece, of course, comes from a later generation, 40 millimeters in diameter. The movement itself is rendered in 18 karat pink gold, just like the case. You basically have two separate gear trains with the balance wheels placed in closest possible proximity, so that they actually resonate with each other, making up for each other's errors. Of course, famously, these watches are used as dual time watches as well, since you can, in fact, set either dial completely independently from each other. This is lot 81 for a 2005 example of the Jean chronomètre à résonance, one of the modern classics of independent watchmaking, in pink gold with a white gold dial and pink gold movement. The estimated value of the piece at lot 81 is between 200,000 to 400,000 in euro. Feel free to send in your questions with super chats. You can also send in a lot number, since we're looking at this particular auction. And I would be more than happy to digress and dive right into the topic that you raise or the lot that you bring up. If I'm skipping over anything, if I didn't get to the watch that you wanted to talk about yet, please feel free to alert me to it. I'll be more than happy to focus my attention on that particular piece. A very rarefied piece, probably again something that you can get for a relatively good deal. This is lot 82 for a perpetual calendar chronograph in yellow gold by Chopard. Beautiful two-tone dial, Roman numerals, great four sub-dial look, 35 millimeter, I think. No, it's a 40 millimeter case in yellow gold. Very interesting look, since it has a 30-minute totalizer at 9 o'clock, continuous running seconds at 12 o'clock and a 12-hour counter at 6 o'clock. It has a weekly calendar at 3 o'clock and a moon phase indicator. The leap year indicator is in the innermost circle of the 9 o'clock subdial, surrounded by the 30-minute totalizer, which is encircled by the month indicator, and the pointer date wraps itself around the continuous running seconds, which has a seasonal indicator in its innermost circle as well. And at 6 o'clock, again, in the innermost concentric circle, you have a day-night indicator in the form of a 24-hour hand. This is a part of a 50-piece limited edition from the 90s. 50 pieces in yellow gold, to be very specific, 50 further units in white gold. And it has Jaeger-LeCoultre self-winding movement at its heart, with a chronograph and perpetual calendar module for it. This is lot 82. Again, starts at $1 with no reserve. A perpetual calendar chronograph by Chopard, the beautiful two-tone dial. Pre-auction estimate sets the value of this watch somewhere between 10,000 to 20,000 in euro. Lot 84 is the ultimate rendition of the so-called pre-Daytona chronograph in stainless steel. That stainless steel case complements the black dial so beautifully. I feel that it's sometimes unjust that these pieces are called simply pre-Daytona, because I think they are aesthetically very appealing and in and of themselves quite collectible by now as well. And in certain instances, much more rare than variants of the Daytona that are so heavily sought after. Again, I'm not saying objectively better or worse. It's just something that the market, of course, values usually for less than an exotic dial Daytona. However, in this particular iteration, which also looks like a piece in a well-preserved condition, is quite desirable. Of course, one of the main reasons that these pieces are called pre-Daytona is because the aesthetics of the dial, of course, here the tachymeter scale is inscribed on the periphery of the dial and not on the bezel, but the aesthetics of the dial already evoke what we will become more familiar with the Daytona design. And of course, these two are powered by variant of the Valjoux caliber 72, just like the hand-wound Daytonas that will supersede this reference, which is reference 6238, here in stainless steel with a black lacquer dial. Very beautiful looking piece. And as you see, it's relatively well preserved as well. The pre-Daytona Rolex chronograph, reference 6238 in stainless steel with a black lacquered dial. At lot 84, the estimated value of the pace is between 200,000 to 400,000 in euro. I'm going to quickly grab some water, but not before I pull up the next lot that we are going to look at. But I do want to ask you to hit the like button. Again, please also feel free to subscribe if you haven't already. If you have somehow followed the link from Instagram and you are just discovering my my YouTube channel, please stay tuned. I have watch content on a daily basis here. The other way around, feel free to follow me on Instagram. The link is in the chat. Brody, thank you so much. Brody is also a member of the channel and a friend whom I started to see more and more often in real life too. I appreciate that a lot. $4.99, thank you so much again. Thoughts on why people pay so much more at auction than from pre-owned dealers? I have actually recently talked about this a little more. Maybe I should make a full video about it, but I'm happy to go through it again here. I think some of it has to do, again, without psychologizing anyone, some of it has to do with the social aspects of the auction circuit, right? It's a place where you meet friends, associates, and frenemies on a regular basis. It's a vacation-like atmosphere, even though, again, the high rollers might actually fold it into a business trip of sorts as well. So there's a tendency to, set aside a certain kind of budget that you are willing to spend when you are coming to Geneva or when you are flying to Hong Kong or when you are, in New York City for the winter season or for the holiday season, really more properly in the US. You are dedicating a certain amount of money that you are willing to spend at the auction. So you don't mind, perhaps, paying a little more for the social aspects of it, for the thrill of it. I'm not using it as an offensive term. And I think for the sheer competitive sport of it as well, sometimes, right? You keep seeing the same kinds of people in these auctions, right? Like people who bid, especially on the more expensive pieces, the high ticket items, are very much the same group of people. They all know each other. They love each other, they hate each other, they love and hate each other. Again, they're friends, associates, frenemies. Um, it's it's like arm wrestling almost, right? That uh, where the stakes are getting a watch or not. There's also the tendency where, again, you go in just like you are going into the casino, right? If you are a responsible gambler and not a degenerate gambler, you um, put in the cash, get a certain amount of chips, and you are going to play with those chips no matter what, right? You might cash out and maybe come out with some sort of winnings as well. But chances are that, whether that's $100 or $100,000, you go in, you get your chips, and you play until it's game over. So a lot of people go into the auctions like that too. I have $20,000 to spend. I have $250,000 to spend. I have $2 million to spend. So if I don't get the $1 million piece or a $500,000 piece that I wanted to, I might actually just get a dozen of smaller pieces, um, and I don't mind overpaying on those because I'm just doing it for the sport of it. So part of it is that. Some others might simply be people who are scared off from or by the gray market dealers, who don't know who to trust, but they already have, say, art collections, maybe whiskey collections or wine collections, and they have previously dealt with auction houses. So it's just about going to another department within an institution that you trust, where you don't mind, again, overpaying a little bit. Perhaps you don't even know that you're overpaying because you put the trust and your idea of what is an authenticated product for that peace of mind over researching and dealing with within the secondary market, right? It's essentially a concierge service when you're traveling into a foreign city, right? For some people, watch collecting is a foreign land, even though they are interested in tipping their toes in it. And auction houses might give them that peace of mind, that sense of security, precisely because they have dealt with them before in establishing their wine collection. They have dealt with them before, maybe in buying some pieces of art, or maybe they have bought realty from Sotheby's before, don't mind going back to them to buy some watches as well. Why not? Original OC member for 14 months. Thank you, man. I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. With more support, I would do even better. Speaking of which, again, I need to grab some water very quickly. So you take a look at this Lange one while I'm at it. One, two, one, two. I'm back. And there we are. Ooh. Okay. What is going on? We're looking at lot 86 of the exclusive Timepieces auction, a live event by Monaco Legend Group, taking place in less than a week now. Of course, they're already accepting absentee bids. You're looking at Langawan in 18-karat pink gold, pardon me, and a black dial. This is the classic Langawan, 38.5 millimeters in diameter. Reference 101031. So it has the older movements, which you can identify from these islands on the 3/4 plate. An interesting detail of these movements is that they are based on gear trains borrowed from their sister brand, Jaeger LeCoultre, but otherwise have all the admirable finishing details and aesthetic nuances of that Saxonian style movement. The 3/4 plates made out of German silver, the polished gold chaton for the setting of the jewels that are screwed down with heat-blued screws, freehand engraved balance conch, and a swan neck regulator. The glashütte ribbing on the bridges, the perlage on the circular graining on the base plates, and of course the anglage on the edges of the bridges as well. Very beautiful and well-preserved case. With a matching déployant clasp, which isn't really standard issue with a lot of Lange, so that's something to be cherished. I don't even know how much they sell it for at these days. So when you find it, you get it. It does come with a certificate of origin. Of course, the Lange one was one of the quartet of designs of models when the brand was introduced in 1994, and it remains their icon with its unique asymmetric dial layout, oversized date indicator with double digits, and the power reserve indicator as well. Classic piece that has a lot of unique character. Again, if you're looking for a dress watch, leather strap watch, so to speak, that has its own character, that will still stand out, and certainly that would be a conversation starter for anyone who knows a thing or two about watchmaking. This is the Lange one in pink gold with a black dial, reference 101031. In its classic proportions, 38.5 millimeters in diameter, lot 86. The pre-auction estimate is set in the range between 18,000 to 36,000 in euro. Speaking of integrated bracelet dress pieces coming in vogue once again, we're looking at a stone dial piece as well, which is again a burgeoning trend in our day. This is a Vacheron Constantin at lot 88. A cushion-shaped white gold piece on a matching bracelet in white gold with a lapis lazuli dial. The reference is 2099 and the case is roughly 30 by 30 millimeters. I love when the stone dials are treated in this way, just the signature of the brand, nothing less, nothing more. No hour markers, nothing interrupts your appreciation of that semi-precious stone dial. Dauphine hands, multifaceted in their finish for hours and minutes. Beautiful two-hander, very minimalistic, but also stunning dress piece in white gold on an integrated bracelet, well preserved. As you can see, a nice legible hallmark there for this gold piece. Beautiful lapis lazuli dial. And the piece actually has its presentation case, the outer box, as well as the hang tag and papers, a time capsule of sorts for this Vacheron Constantin white gold integrated bracelet dress watch, reference 2099 at lot 88. The estimated value of the piece is set in the range between 6,000 to 12,000 euro. Please hit the like button, and if you have followed this link from Instagram or elsewhere, if you have chanced upon this live stream, and if you're interested in watches, tune in, stay tuned in, stay subscribed. There's watch content coming here, streaming towards you on a daily basis. We're looking at the exclusive Timepieces auction from Monaco Legend Group. I've started covering this about 2 live streams ago, but I think today I might be able to actually take a nice bite out of it and be finished quite soon. Lot 90 is a piece made by Lecoutre, a dual timepiece in that tank centré looking case with a curved and extended, elongated look. Essentially, again, 2 independent movements in a single watch, which can be set independently from each other, and they're distinguished from each other as well. Made for Kirby, Beard, and Company. The watch is in white gold, 22 millimeters in width and 46 millimeters in length. Painted Arabic numerals for the upper dial and baton indices for the lower dial. The crowns are positioned at 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock rather than on the sides, which seems unusual and perhaps doesn't make it easier to set these watches, but aesthetically it gives a very unique balance to that curved, elongated tank style case. Beautifully preserved, matched with a déployant clasp in 18 karat yellow gold as well. As you can see, the déployant is very much in the style of Cartier as well. What a beautiful piece. Stainless steel, flame blue épée style hands against the off-white backdrop of the dials. Very legible and stylish. Cartier Tank Centré style piece made by Gégé Lecoutre for Kirby Beard and Company in Paris. 18 karat yellow gold. Lot 90 has an estimated value between 7,000 to 14,000 in euros. Hey guys, how are you doing? Ryan, Robert, so nice to see you guys. We're looking at the exclusive timepieces auction by the Monaco Legend Group. It's my third day today. If you have any requests, here's the link. Please feel free to click and browse through. If it's a watch that I skipped over, that I discussed before, but that you want me to delve into further in greater detail, or for the very first time, feel free to send in the lot number with a super chat, and I'll be more than happy to discuss it. This is one of my favorite designs by Cartier, a tank asymmetrique, an asymmetric tank, of course, immediately recognizable by its slanted dial, but I also love the three-pronged lugs of the case. This is a piece that was actually made in the now discontinued NSO, New Special Order program. In 18 karat yellow gold, the piece has a kind of sunburst burgundy dial. Matched, of course, with a strap that presents more or less the same hue. The beaded crown has an emerald colored cabochon. Let me double check what kind of stone that is, if it is in fact a stone. I don't think it is specified in the lot essay. But it is a nice detail. Of course, they could have matched it with a ruby, but I think red and yellow generally are great complements to each other. You have, again, a railroad track for the minutes, and even the secret Cartier signature in the V of the Roman numeral 7. Of course, the dial is still slanted for this tank asymmetrique. in yellow gold, made in 2024, as the number one in this particular execution in the now extinct new special order program. Matched with a déployant clasp as well. For this tank asymétrique with a burgundy sunburst dial. This was lot 92 with an estimated value set in the range between 60,000 to 120,000 in euro. This, as you can see, is part of a series that includes Cartier cloche from its bell shape, literally the French word cloche, holds the same set number in a way, 2024, number one in this particular configuration. Again, with a green cabochon that tops off the beaded crown. And once again, the combination is yellow gold with a sunburst burgundy dial presented on a matching strap with a déployant clasp. Lot 94 is the tank chinoise, also through the new special order program, a multifaceted green colored stone tops off the octagonal crown in this case, yellow gold case combined with a sunburst burgundy dial and presented on a strap that complements these hues with a déployant clasp that matches the material of the case. This time, lot 94 also has an estimated value that is set between 60,000 to 120,000 in euro. All of the pieces, again, date back to 2024, are inscribed accordingly, quite well preserved. Very interesting. '92, '93, and '94 for this set of special order Cartier pieces, tank asymétrique, cloche, and tank chinoise. Lot 96, again, a relative bargain for this beautiful Jarre Argenta perpetual calendar in 18 karat yellow gold, 33 millimeters in diameter. What a fantastic piece. Look at that crystal, first of all. I'm not sure if you guys can see it, but it actually has basically these bevels that divide it as if it were a football, like to octagonal sectors. The dial is actually a mother of pearl dial, of course, in the inimitable style of Jarajanta. The backdrop of the moon phase indicator is in lapis lazuli, framed with a beautiful golden ring. The leap year indicator is right there at the 3 o'clock subdial. An Italian calendar, round-shaped case with hooded lugs, but an octagonal dial, again with a very unique crystal over it. The hour markers are engraved on that round bezel. The watch has a self-winding movement. It does actually come with its presentation material, which also includes this octagonal shaped pin pusher for this stunning perpetual calendar by Jarajanta. Beautiful interplay of geometric shapes with a beveled crystal that emphasizes the octagon, Jarajanta's favorite geometric shape, at its center. Lot 96, a perpetual calendar in 18 karat yellow gold with a leap year indicator and phases of the moon. The value of the piece is between 5,000 to 10,000 in euro. Unless there are some last-minute requests, special requests, or some additional pieces from this auction, I have about 15 minutes left in this broadcast. I'm sending the link again. There's also, by the way, the link for the for StreamYard as well, if you wanna join me, and I'll just modify this goal here if someone feels so inclined or particularly generous, for a single super chat of $20 or more. I'm happy to stay on at least for another hour as well. Lot 98 is a limited edition unworn dress watch by Ulysse Nardin. The stainless steel case features spider lugs, and it is presented on a matching 5-link style bracelet, one of 25 pieces made for the Ginza branch of the hourglass. Beautiful salmon tinted guilloche dial. Breguet hands are matched with applied Breguet numerals and a seconds on the subdial. Classic anchor logo of Ulysse Nardin at 12 o'clock. Beautiful signed crown there. Number 15 out of 25 for this modern stainless steel 300 dress watch, 40 millimeters in diameter. Ulysse Nardin, made for the Ginza branch of the hourglass. self-winding piece with a 22 karat oscillating weight. Very distinctive and beautiful. A unique dress watch at lot 98. Starts at $1 with no reserve. The estimated value of the watch is between 8,000 to 16,000 euro. I'm jumping ahead a little bit to lot 262. This is a self-winding chronograph by Daniel Roth. It is presented in a pink gold case in that distinctive double ellipse shape. A salmon dial that matches the case material so beautifully with that pinstripe guilloche, each sector also outlined and framed with a coin-edged decoration as well. The heat blued hands are quite legible and stand out, and they are matched with these navy colored markings on the dial. There's a date window at 4:30 and also luminous pips behind each hour marker as well. The movement is caliber DR400, which is essentially the Zenit El Primero caliber 400, one of the definitive self-winding chronograph movements of the 20th century. This is the Daniel Roth self-winding chronograph from around 1995 in pink gold with a salmon guilloche dial at lot 262 with an estimated value between 12,000 to 24,000 in euro. At lot 259, we had Oscar Schaefer's 5004A in this auction. This is the 5004P. I think some of you could tell it by the applied Arabic numerals. This is one of the quintessential classics of the neo-vintage era. The Patek Philippe Perpetual Calendar split-second chronograph. This particular example was delivered in 2002. 36 millimeters in diameter, but of course has a certain heft and weight, both emotional and of course material here. For this particular iteration, it's a contemporary of the 3970, of course, but the case dimensions are a little larger here and punctuated, of course, by that protrusion at the crown, which is the rattrapante button integrated into it. The movement, of course, is built on the base of the time-honored Lemania CH27. Here, of course, with the additional split-second module bearing the hallmark of Geneva on its balance bridge. Beautiful example in platinum, relatively well preserved, even if not pristine and unpolished perhaps. The case still retains its original finishing. You can see the additional solid case back, the pin pusher, the product literature, the certificate of origin, the presentation case, the outer packaging, everything is there. This is lot 259 for 5004p, a Patek Philippe perpetual calendar, split-second chronograph in platinum with an estimated value between 350,000 to 700,000 in euro. I have time maybe for 2 more pieces. Why not continue this theme? 266, platinum monopusher split seconds chronograph by Patek Philippe. An absolute classic. Again, you're looking at the 5959, a relatively diminutive piece in a 33 millimeter platinum officer's style case. The single pusher for the chronograph is located at 2 o'clock roughly, and the split seconds pusher is integrated onto the crown. A spade set of hands, a 60-minute totalizer at 3, and continuous running seconds at 9 for this classic 2-register layout. Both of those subdials are subtly sunken in. Beautiful piece, very impressive actually because of the miniaturization. The classic Lemania movement again that you have seen in the 5004 that we were looking at. This is the CHR 27-525 PS. Look at that gorgeous enlarged hallmark of Geneva. With all the accoutrement that accompanies this exquisite piece, a Patek Philippe perpetual calendar, a Patek Philippe split seconds chronograph, monopusher, 33 millimeters in platinum. A wonderful piece, bought originally on March 15th, 2007 from the Patek Philippe Salon in Geneva. Lot 266 has an estimated value between $250,000 to €500,000. I think I have time maybe for 2 more pieces. I think I'll stick to this theme. 267. Again, another neo-vintage classic. This is the Patek Philippe perpetual calendar, pure and simple, from the same time periods. I'm sure most of you are familiar with 3940. This is the 3945 line 001. Essentially a lugless integrated bracelet version of it in yellow gold. Beautiful, perfectly round case with a stepped bezel. The dial configuration is eminently familiar, of course. Italian calendar with subtly sunken subdials at 3 o'clock. You have the month indicator encircling the leap year indicator. At 9 o'clock, you have the days of the week that surrounds the 24-hour hand, which is subtly actually distinguished in a two-tone fashion between the morning hours and night hours. And you also have a pointer date at 6 o'clock that surrounds the aperture for the indicator of moon phases. Dauphine hands matching the bullet-shaped, obus-shaped indices for the hour marker. 36 millimeters in 18 karat yellow gold on a matching bracelet. Very stylish piece on the integrated bracelet with woven links. Again, the case retains its character and appearance, even though it seems to have been polished before. This is the neo-vintage Patek Philippe perpetual calendar at lot 267 in yellow gold with an integrated bracelet aesthetic. 3945 line 001 with an estimated value between 50,000 to 100,000 in euro. Lot 254 is the first automatic Patek Philippe watch. First self-winding Calatrava as well, of course. Powered by the caliber 12-600 AT. Here rendered in 18 karat yellow gold with an enamel dial. Beautiful piece. Seconds on the subdial at 6. Dauphine hands, obus-shaped applied indices, and a pearled track for the minutes on the periphery of that enamel dial. Beautiful double P logo that adorns and signs the crown. Screw down case back. Beautiful, beautiful piece. Made in 1955, sold on June 18th, 1956. 2526J, Patek's first generation of self-winding Calatrava, yellow gold with an enamel dial, right around 35.5 millimeters in diameter. This is lot 254 The pre-auction estimate sets the value of this watch somewhere between 30,000 to 60,000 in euro. We're entering the last 5 minutes. I will discuss maybe one or two more watches. I should like to remind you to hit the like button. Subscribe if you aren't already following this channel. Follow me also on Instagram, again, for daily watch content at young.brando. If you have any last-minute requests, any questions, or if you simply want to show your support for what is a completely independent platform that's not beholden to any industry interests, that is not supported by any gray market dealers, any auction houses, or any other players, feel free to make a donation, send in your support. Of course, YouTube gives you a number of ways. Getting a membership for yourself or gifting it onto others is a great way to support the channel in a sustainable fashion. At the end of the day, also, it will give you access to exclusive content, a whole archive of it, in fact. And if you prefer to support the channel, support the platform in other ways, I outline some options in the YouTube video description below. Feel free to take a look. I appreciate you. Please, again, please don't forget to hit the like button. And if you have any questions, if you'd like me to take a look at any other lots in the last minute, or if you simply want to show your support before I close for the day, for the night rather, please don't hesitate to send in a super chat. We're looking at a yellow gold example of the classic Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Jumbo, the 5402BA. The Petite Tapisserie dial with an AP logo at 6 o'clock. Brilliant cut diamonds, 9 of them for the hour markers. The date at 3 o'clock with a champagne-like background that matches the tones of the case, and the thin, elegant pencil hands that are usually replaced for these precious metal versions. Just as the maestro intended, just as Gérard Jante intended, but in yellow gold. Opulent, classic, with a diamond set dial. This is a 5402 BA Royal Oak Jumbo from 1978. Patinated black tapisserie dial set with diamonds and matched with a yellow gold execution of this classic sports chic integrated bracelet watch, lot 121. The pre-auction estimate sets the value of this watch somewhere between 35 to 70,000 euro. And the last watch of the day, hit the like button if you haven't already. I want to see something special. We looked at the automatic version. This is the classic Danny Roth chronograph. The two-register look betrays that it is a hand-wound piece, even though it has a solid case back. You know that it is based on the Lemania Bosch, the 2320. This is the reference 2147 in yellow gold. Classic two-tone pinstripe guilloche dial. Again, every single sector is finely outlined with coin edge decoration, and the stainless steel hands are heat tempered to this rich, dark shade of blue. The number 25 is inscribed on the dial for this early example of the Daniel Roth chronograph in yellow gold with the classic double ellipse shape. It does come with the presentation box as well as its outer packaging, but no papers. This is lot 203 for the Daniel Roth hand-wound chronograph, reference 2147, built on the Lemania 2320 Bosch, with an estimated value between 20,000 to 40,000 in euro. I think I've covered most of what I wanted. I might still turn to this auction in the next live stream, but chances are I will probably focus on some others, even though I want to take a look at some of the pieces here. If you have any special requests, again, don't hesitate. You can always send in a super thanks with your note, with your request, as a comment after this live stream ends. If nothing else, you can always reach me on a more regular basis on Instagram, right, at young.brando. I respond to DMs pretty often, so feel free to reach out. And in either case, I'll see you in the next one, most certainly. If you have any last minute requests, feel free to send them in now. I am, however, closing quite soon, but I will be back here tomorrow. So hit the like button. Again, thank you so much for C3D Now and Brody for your super chats. Thank you so much for being here, for giving me your comments, asking questions, and especially those of you, again, C3D Now and Brody, who have sent in their support. Again, this is a completely independent channel that relies on your support for the quality and consistency of content that I can provide you. So feel free to also check out the ways that I outline in the video description if you want to support my enterprise. In either case, I'll see you in the next one. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy, wear and enjoy your watches. Don't forget to hit the like button on the way out and leave a comment if you would like. Goodbye.